Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would show you some of my houseplant fails because I feel like sometimes with, social media and everything like that, we show off our big, beautiful plants, wish list plants, things like that, and everything looks great. And oftentimes we don't see all of the fails. Or, for example, in the houseplant group, I'll see people share, they're like, this propagation just didn't work. And it might not be you, it might just be that section of the plant didn't want to propagate. And I'll have a perfect example of that in this video too. So I'm just going to take you around and show you all of the houseplant fails that I have. That way you can, not feel so bad about any of the ones that you might have. So I'm gonna get started. There's gonna be some I'm gonna show you right here, and then some I'll have to take you around the house for. First step, do you know what this is? Can you guess? Pretty sure you could guess. String of pearls. Actually, this is a variegated string of pearls, and this is my fourth string of pearls. I have had several, and I've killed them, but that was a few years ago, and so I thought, okay, I'm gonna try again. I'm a different plant person now. Maybe I'm better. I can do this. No, this is what I ended up with. Obviously, and I'll reuse the pot and everything, but obviously I haven't thrown it away. It's just sitting on the floor by my plant cabinet. And no, it wasn't this dry. It's just that once it was confirmed dead, I just let it dry out completely. And now it looks like this. Crispy. Okay, so plant fail number 1. Plant fail number 2, string of turtles. It got really long and things were going really good, and then it just died. And my friend got me this, and when she gave it to me, I was very excited, and then I said, just so you know, if this dies, it's not because I didn't care about the gift you gave me. It's because I have killed these before, and I do not do well with these. So I just want to let you know, do not be offended if you come to my house and this is dead, because that's all I do with string of turtles. These might be good enough to propagate here at the bottom, but again, I've never propagated this successfully. So there you go. Plant fail number 2. Next we have what was a variegated compacta. It's not going to make it. I have several other propagated successfully, including an 8-inch pot. But I was going to just have this one as like, something I could sell or give away or trade. But no, it is not doing well. Next up, we have a Hoya Croniana splash. And it is not doing well. As you can see, the leaves are really wrinkly. The pot has water, so I'm guessing it has root rot. It had mites, so I had to put sulfur on it. This was doing so well, and I cut it back, and I made a propagation, and I sold the propagation. But I think what happened was I cut it back too far. I got a little greedy with my propagations, and it said, I don't like that. And it's dying now. I'm going to have to chop and prop, I think. But it's just another plant project that I'm like, I don't want to do that. So it's probably just going to slowly die in the cabinet. We'll see. Time will tell. I don't have the current plant anymore because this was a while ago, but I do remember that one time I found a desiccated philodendron micans behind my couch. Totally did. I had to chop and prop, and it was these thin little wispy dehydrated nodes. I cut off all the leaves, and you know what? It survived, but that was not a good plant moment when I found it behind the couch, and I was like, how long has this been here? Probably at least a month. I was going to clean out behind the couch, and I discovered it, and that's what happened. And then my child said, oh, is that the plant that fell behind the couch? Thanks for telling me. Thanks for telling me. Thank you. And I'm sure that you're the one that knocked it. Not you, but the collective you of children. You guys knocked it off behind the couch, I'm sure. And then didn't tell me, so. And the funny part was that I was out and about and I would see a philodendron micans and I'd be like, oh, I really want to buy one. And then I would be like, I thought I just bought one. I thought I had one at the house. But you know, when you get a lot of plants, sometimes they can hide, they can disappear. And so I kept thinking, no, I don't have one. And then I would go back and forth in my head and I thought, surely I thought I bought one recently. And I did. It was just behind the couch, slowly dying. So maybe I'll see if I can dig up an old photo of that one. Okay, so that's it for that room. I think I'm going to take you around the house now and we'll see what we can find. Okay. This was obviously a plant that my child picked out. It was a bear paw succulent at some point, and the kids love succulents. They always want to get one. They think that they're so cute, and I do too, but I tell them every time, like, okay, you can get this, but I don't do well with succulents. I really don't know how to care for them. I can't figure them out. I've tried time and time again. So, you know, it might die, but it's not because I don't care about your plant. And obviously we need to dispose of the plant and get something else in his cute little frog planter. But he does have this plant that's doing well. So there's that. Next child's room. This was a Pilia peperomioides. And he's had it for years. Okay, my bulldog is snorting in the background. He's had it for years. He did very well with it for a long time. And then one day it just up and died. Didn't change the watering schedule. Honestly, it just up and died. So that can happen. And I'm just showing you that it does. Okay, child 3, I potted a Hoya Matilda in this cute little corgi planter. And it didn't make it. And if you've seen my videos, I have tons of Hoya Matildas. That's like my favorite plant. And it just didn't make it. Okay, so that happens. My bulldog is just following me around, breathing heavily in the background and like if you have a bulldog, you know that they just do that. Okay, so up next is, I think, a perfect example of how not all propagations take. So when you have one propagation of a plant, you only see, you know, that one propagation. And if it fails, you think, oh, it must be me. But I'll show you this. Okay, so these are Rhaphidophora tetrasperma cuttings that I took from my mom's mother plant in a separate video, and I got like 100 cuttings, okay? And they've all been put in water. Oh, my dog, can you hear him? He's just following me around. Okay, so now before someone goes off about the dirty water that I never changed, that's a nutrient water, okay? So, just so you know. All right, so these have a grow light, okay? They were all given the same conditions. Water in a glass jar with the grow light. And some of them just didn't make it, okay? Like they just didn't make it. And obviously I need to like go through and clean out these jars, but there's like 50 cuttings. So I just haven't done it yet. But when you do this on a larger scale, you can see, oh, okay, these all had the same condition. They were cut from the same plant, so they had like the same genetics, and some of them just didn't work out. So if you're gifted a cutting of something and it dies, it's not necessarily you. Okay, it could just be that portion of the plant, you know, didn't have, I don't know, it didn't have a big enough aerial root to start, or it didn't thrive. It didn't take, okay? So this is a perfect example because they all have the same condition, they came from the same place, and yet some of them didn't make it. Okay, so at first glance, you know, everything in my cabinet looks great. You're like, oh wow, everything is growing really good. But if we take a closer look, get closer here. This Hoya serpens is a problem. It doesn't like me. And people are like, oh, you should make it like a full pot. This was a full pot. This was a full pot, okay? And look at it now. It's miserable. It hates me. I've had this cutting for probably 5 years now, and it'll grow out, There is one teeny tiny little new growth coming right there. You see it? But otherwise, I can't get it to grow. I've tried humidity, I've tried regular air, I've tried a small pot, I've tried, once I had, this was all full of propagations. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a full basket. No, look at this. I thought maybe it had mites, so I covered it with sulfur. That one teeny tiny little growth. That's all I have. And I gave a friend a propagation of this plant, and it's thriving at her house. And I think she has it growing just like in regular room air. So that's just a failure. Okay. Here's another failure, this Hoya Bella. Look how wilted it is. And obviously the pot's way too dry because once I saw it wilting, I was like, you're done. I used to have a big, beautiful, bushy Hoya Bella. It was like my favorite plant. And last summer I was like, I'm gonna put it outside and let it like summer outside in the shade of the tree. Aphids all over. So I did a chop and prop, got all the aphids off, and these were a couple of propagations I had. There was more in the basket and they died. And then I have one little teeny tiny prop upstairs that's taking off, and I hope that it makes it because this was like my favorite plant. But look at this. This is a serious plant fail. Okay? Fail. Okay, here is the variegated Hoya compacta. That one is not doing well. That one is not doing well. This one's doing just fine. They have the same conditions. And you're going to be like, the soil's too wet. I just watered it today. Okay? I just watered it today. And if you saw my other video, I had a 5-foot-long Hoya compacta. So I do know how to take care of these. But that's a fail. It's just not growing. And it has the same conditions. This one, there's a growth point in there. See that new green leaf? It's growing. This one is a RHM 030-11. I think it's called Pixie Puff. And it's been the same size for like 2 years. Once again, thought it had mites, so I put sulfur on it. I've had it in all sorts of conditions, ambient, humidity. It just doesn't want to grow, but I have all these other Hoyas that are doing just fine. So I, again, think sometimes it just has to do with the cutting you get. Luck. Maybe you forgot to water it once in the watering cycle and it didn't like that. You know, so there's only so much you can do. And I just want to say, you know, don't always blame yourself. All right, so that is it for the Plant Fails tour currently. I'm sure there will be more in the future, but I hope that made you feel a little bit better about any plant fails that you might have, and just let you know that it's totally normal, and you know, attrition can happen, or maybe you just wanted to be nosy and see what plants I have that died. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.